Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's 6 o'clock, February 24, 2025. You're attending the Livingston County Board of Commissioners for today's date. I'm officially calling the meeting to order. We'll start with a moment of prayer.
Thank you. Let's bow our heads. Father, your guidance and strength as we honestly confess our sins to you and to one another. And give us compassionate hearts as we pray for each other and our leaders across the country and the world. Rid us of judgment, condemnation, and pride, and fill us with the spirit of grace, mercy, and love. Create in our hearts a fervent desire to pray every day for your leadership to reign in our lives, always, now, and ever, and unto the age of ages. Amen. Amen.
If you'd kindly rise or move your hats, we'll participate in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, could we have a roll call?
Yes. Commissioner Helserman.
Here.
Commissioner Domas is absent. Commissioner Sample.
Here.
Commissioner Nakagiri.
Here.
Commissioner Deaton.
Here.
Commissioner Panovich.
Here.
Commissioner Fiani.
Here.
Commissioner Gross.
Here.
Chairman Drake.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, item number 5, approval of the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda with the following amendments. Insert as item number 12J, Resolution 2025-02-022, resolution to concur with the Livingston County Aeronautical Facilities Board to enter into an agreement with the Summit Company for the construction of a snow removal equipment building. Assign item number 12K as number 2025-02023, resolution to support local control and claim of appeal against Michigan Public Service Commission order. And insert item number 12L, number 2025-02024, resolution to amend the Livingston County paid sick leave workplace policy and the personnel manual due to the passage of the revisions to the Michigan Earned Sick Time Act.
Support Deaton with the 3 changes, please.
Thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner Fiani and support by Commissioner Deaton. Any discussion? All those in favor, kindly say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. The vote was 8-0 with 1 absent. I believe that's all we have to do for approval of agenda. I'm getting the okay sign from our crack attorney back of us. Item number 6, certificates of recognition. 6A reads employee recognitions. Elsie McPherson Brown from the Sheriff's Office. Presenter will be Wes Nakagiri. If you'd come forward.
It's not with me. It's always an honor to recognize our star performers in the county, of which there are many. And from the fourth quarter of last year, our winner is Elsie McPherson Brown. Let me give you a little bit of background information and explanation of how she was viewed by citizens that rely on her service. So background information, she has been employed by the Livingston, or is employed by the Livingston County Sheriff's Department as a central records specialist for 9 years. A central records specialist has broad responsibilities for clerical and records management functions for the Sheriff's Department, including responding to public inquiries at the counter and over the phone. It is often a high-stress environment requiring much tact and diplomacy. So here's some of the comments that were shared by the public regarding Elsie and her stellar service. Elsie received 3 nominations from members of the public who praised her for going above and beyond what was required of her day-to-day duties to ensure the needs of the customer were met. One of the nominations read, quote, This lady is wonderful. She follows up, is patient, and makes sure things are done correctly. She is very helpful, listens, and communicates well. She's a valuable asset to Livingston County, the citizens, and to the Sheriff's Department, end quote. The Employee Recognition Committee could not agree more, especially knowing how difficult the work of the Central Record Specialist can be. And to hear such praise from three people is extraordinary. Working with the public is what we do here at Livingston County government. And boy, does, lost my place here, is what we do. But often being the face of the Sheriff's Department takes a little bit extra. And boy, does Elsie have that. Providing excellent customer service is second nature to her. With a calm demeanor, excellent knowledge of the resources available, and providing respect and kindness to all, Elsie is a rare find that thrives on helping anyone in need. Whether the task be small or requires going above and beyond, she will be there with a smile to ensure everyone is taken care of. She is a great representative for the Sheriff's Department and for Livingston County, and we are proud to recognize her and show our appreciation of her outstanding service.
Nice.
Now, if we could be joined by Under Sheriff Pless, he would like to share a few words with us.
Good evening, Commissioners. Just real quick, you know, you don't have to carry a badge and gun to protect and serve. And Elsie really every day serves the citizens of our community. I have the advantage of having my office set back a little bit from the records and the door is always open and I can hear the interaction sometimes. And, you know, Commissioner Nakagiri, you brought up something really important, patience. Patience is a virtue up there at that front desk. You know, a lot of times the first interaction and sometimes the only interaction that anyone has with our office is with our record staff and the people up front. And it's super important that they, you know, represent us well. And Elsie, you sure do that for us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
You here to join us for a picture?
May I just make
Sure.
one comment?
Yeah, for sure.
To the citizens who were kind enough to nominate me for this recognition, I really appreciate it because I do try to give an outstanding service to everybody, all the citizens of Livingston County. Thank you. That's what I'm asking about the check.
Hold on, I'm having technical problems. I'm old, I can't work my own phone. Thank you all very much. Congratulations.
Next item on the agenda is 6B. It's the public recognition and award for Anne Marie Yarber, American Legion Department of Michigan, oratorical contest winner. Commissioner Deaton, please do the honors.
Thank you, Chairman.
Sure.
I've asked Commissioner Nakagiri to assist with me because our awardee is from his neighborhood, so he's the commissioner for that. But good evening, all. This is a pretty cool recognition because Ms. Yarber, we're going to bring her up here in a second for her accomplishments with the American Legion Oratorical Contest. And for those who may not be familiar with this program, I'll tell you a little bit about it. It's an important and it's very important to promote it. The American Legion has many youth scholarships and Americanism programs, and I encourage all of you to visit AmericanLegion.org and learn about all the scholarships and programs that don't get applied for every year. It's been around for over 100 years. So tonight, Ms. Yarber, please come up. Stand here between the two commissioners, if you would, please. We're going to honor Ms. Yarber for her accomplishments thus far with the oratorical contest. So she's won at the local level, she's won at the district level, which is 3 counties, and she's won at the zone level, which is like 5th of the state. So she's moving on to what is it?
State.
Yep, the state of Michigan. Lost my spot here, but she's gonna compete at the state level on March 15th. So if you're in the area of Lansing, where the Michigan History Museum is at, that's where she'll be competing. It's safe to say that she's gonna have the backing of her high school, Livingston County. Ms. Yarber, if she makes it at the state, she's gonna go into national, which is at Hillsdale College, and they'll compete for a $25,000 scholarship. So there's real money for your grandkids and your kids and for Livingston County. So the American Legion's been doing this for over 80 years, and we really appreciate you. And before I hand it over to Commissioner Nakagiri, I'm a Navy guy. I think I did this to you once before, but I have a challenge coin for you, and this is for good luck. It's the
Thank
Board of
you.
Commissioner Roger Deaton. Oh, you gotta shake my hand.
Oh, sorry.
There you go. And well, we say Bravo Zulu in the Navy, and that means for job well done. So job well done,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Yarbers, thus far.
Thank you very much.
Commissioner Nakagiri.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's been an honor to have met Ms. Yarber a couple of years ago. I know her family well. I know her from both her parents and her grandparents, and I can say that they all should be proud of raising a fine young woman. And I wish her the best of luck going for state and for national. And like I said, it's been an honor to know you.
Thank you very much. To add what Mr. Nakagiri has said, remember, we're a constitutional county, so in my words, she's defending the US Constitution. So this is good stuff. You'd like to take a picture with all of us?
Sure. Is it okay if I say something?
Absolutely.
Well, I just want to thank the Board of Commissioners, of course, for presenting me with this award. But I also want to thank the American Legion for the generous scholarships that they've provided and for the opportunities that they've given the youth of Livingston County. By participating in this competition, I've certainly improved my speaking skills and my writing skills. And I've also learned a lot about our Constitution. So I hope I'll be able to win at the state level so that I can represent Michigan at the national level. So thank you.
Alex, did you do the photo? Right here. Thank you. Good. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great job again.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yep. Congratulations. It's great. Much stuff. Next on tonight's agenda is item number 7, entitled correspondence. I have none to recognize. Does any commissioner? Then that one is taken care of. Item number 8 is call to the public. It's a 3-minute call at the beginning of tonight and then a 2-minute call. Item number 14 on the agenda almost last tonight. If you have a desire to speak tonight, you'd have to fill out a card. They're in the little ante room. Give it to our secretary clerk tonight, and then she will call people up as we finish, and then we'll go to Zoom to see if anybody on Zoom would like to participate. Floor is yours.
First, we have Edwin Hanson Meyer from Hamburg Township.
Long-time Livingston County resident, been in the county for over 34 years. I'm deeply concerned with the recent increase of the neo-Nazi and the hate group activity in the county. I'd like to hear from the commission what your plans are to address this in the future, what you've been doing in the past, because it seems like there's been a definite increase in the recent time.
This is not a question and answer session. It's not a
Okay.
time to take a poll of us. Our job is to listen.
But I'm deeply concerned with the increase. There's been several events where the neo-Nazis have been present at. I understand there was a recent event where there was a sign hanging on one of the overpasses that was met with a reasonable response from the police departments. I appreciate that greatly. I'd like to see that continue and I want to see as much of this that can be averted as possible. Thank you for my time.
Very welcome. Next.
Next, we have Tanya Hansen-Meyer from Hamburg Township.
Ma'am, you consider stand if you wish, but be near a microphone. Thank you. When you're seated and comfortable, you can begin.
Hello, I'm Tanya Hansenmeyer. I've been a Livingston County resident for 34 years. I'm a University of Michigan graduate, a registered nurse, so I understand the safety of, serving and protecting and attending to the public. I'm also here because I'm also the granddaughter of a German mother who lived through World War II. And my German grandfather at one point refused to have my mother and uncle in the Nazi youth party. And I grew up with all her stories of book burning she witnessed as a child, pulling her best friend out of bomb rubble, deceased. And so all these stories affect me emotionally and also add light and it really affects me to see this increase of like neo-Nazi behavior. I was, at several events where I felt like there wasn't due diligence for my protection. And I'm only bringing this up to have it on record because I know the mission statement of the commissioner's office is to provide quality services to the residents to improve the quality of life for all who live here. And that in partnership with the community, the Livingston County Sheriff's Office has a commitment to protecting the constitutional rights of all who live here, work here, and visit here. I have friends who don't want to visit here. I'm frankly starting to feel unsafe in my own community of 34 years. And I am starting to question if I need to leave this county. I went because I have the heritage of my grandfather who spoke up against the Nazis. I too will carry on that generational responsibility. This is my first time here. I hope to be here more just to bring witness to the fact that there are other people in this county that have great concern, especially if they're the average white woman.
Thank you, ma'am.
Next, we have Stacy Rutledge from Howell.
Oh. Heard that.
When you're seated and comfortable,
Down, Jay.
when you're seated and comfortable, you may begin your 3 minutes.
I could get comfortable for about 10. How you doing, gentlemen? You're looking good. All of you. You're doing good. Kind of a little upset about Wes's hair. It's looking good and I don't have any. I moved here in Michigan out of service in '88. I moved to Livingston County 22 years ago and I moved to Howe. Why? I looked it up. Safest place to live, welcoming, Black, Asian, everybody. And then after 5 years, something floated off Hawaii and landed over in Oakland County. Started up a group called Livingston Integrity, which spun off to Sage. And Sage has done nothing for the last 5 years, but to stir up stuff that isn't here. I'm going to speak in Bidenese for some of my Sage representatives back. There are no Nazis in Livingston County. There are no Nazis in Livingston County. You people have never met a Nazi. You use Nazi probably because you can't spell some other longer word. And both groups are a danger. The guys that wore a Burger King hat on the highway in a Nazi thing, it's hard to take serious. But what's getting serious is the Sage group got some boys, girls, whatever, with little armbands and handguns as a security detail. And there happens to be a lady behind me who was flipping you off during the ceremony or the prayer, you know, that happens to roll around along with who I will call, which I'm going to bring up how we can save money. To Sheriff Murphy and to our police department, we could save money by hiring Jiffy Pop. When Biden had Corn Pop, we got Jiffy Pop. Now, Jiffy Pop would probably speak today to Wes. And Wes, I told you I was going to school you. Do you mind if I school you?
You have to address the chair.
Okay,
You address the
Real quick.
chair and no, you address the chair and nobody else.
we're done?
No, you can keep talking. You've got 20 seconds,
Okay.
but you have to address me.
Oh, Jake,
I'm
can
the-
I school you? Under the Southern, Southern, what's it called? Southern law, Southern Liberty. Pardon me? Yeah. There is no, within 40 miles, any nationalist white supremacy in Livingston County. You gotta go 40 miles out. But what you got is a dangerous thing going on here with chumps bringing guns to our city.
You're
So
done.
if we,
You're done. That's enough. We let you run over a little bit. Next card.
Next, we have Jeff Amayo from Howell. I think I'm saying it right,
Oh,
maybe?
hi.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Tell us your name, tell us where you live, have a seat, be comfortable. When you're ready, start.
Jeff Amayo. I live in Howell, downtown. Good evening. My name is Jeff Amayo, as I stated, and I'm a resident of Howell. Thank you for this opportunity to express my First Amendment right to redress my government. It was my honor to be defending that right, honorably. Please let the record show that I am a Black man, so there absolutely is no confusion. I am here to give my perspective about racism in Livingston County. I do not represent Sage. I represent the 40% of residents you refuse to acknowledge. And as an acolyte of Christ, I'm here to give voice to the weak, the vulnerable, and the marginalized. It is interesting that if you're going to violate the First Amendment of the Constitution, I would expect you to be true Christians and pray for the strength to love thy neighbor unconditionally. Now, Robert Miles is long dead, so bringing him up is irrelevant. We have a white supremacist problem in this county today. If you're going to state facts, state all of the facts. You stated that Livingston County has the lowest per capita in Black hate crimes compared to its surrounding counties. Of over the 196,000 residents of Livingston County, only 3.8% is Black. So of course, in comparison to the surrounding counties, where there is a higher population density of African Americans, it is obvious that the percentage of hate crimes would be higher. It is interesting how you classify the white supremacists that have been terrorizing our county as good citizens, and standing up to them is a smear campaign. It is politicians like you who have given permission to normalize this hate. I am sick and tired of those using DI and CRT as dog whistles for the N-word.
I'm sick and tired of this war on intellect and empathy under the auspices of being woke. I'm sick and tired of those who don the red hat as a tool of intimidation. I hate to break it to you, sir. But diversity, equity, and inclusion gave you the opportunity to run and win your position. Look around at your colleagues, as one of these things do not look like the other. I
Sir,
am done with
please make sure
patronizing.
you're speaking in the microphone, please.
Sir, I have to interrupt you a minute.
Okay, excuse
The
me.
lady recording would like you to be closer to the mic.
The green light's
off.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it.
It's a red light instead of a green light on the microphone,
Okay.
so it's not picking you up.
There it is.
All right,
We-
thank
we-
you.
We saved your time.
Thank
You
you,
didn't
thank
lose
you. I'm done with your patronization. My socials have had over 140,000 views and interactions in the last 28 days alone, and it is growing. I have a platform and a voice, and I intend to use it. As I'm sure you have seen when I stood up to those white supremacists, make no mistake, I am not intimidated. You have sat in that seat for what, 4 terms, is it? You have used that seat to satiate your thirst for power by pandering to your base with deleterious information and conspiracy theories. I am placing you on notice, as you have forgotten that you work for us, all of us. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, we have Stephanie Booth from Howell.
Okay, you guys know me pretty good by now. I've been coming here roughly 3 years, and on May 1st of 23, I emailed the Deputy Police Chief Michael Dunn with videos of the MCC and frickin' media. They were going around harassing businesses and citizens in doing their private activities, and anyway, it was very concerning, but the response I got from the Chief of Police of Howell City Police is, we are very familiar with MCC and frickin' media. While their activities are annoying to many, they are not violating any laws. They are known for doing this all around Michigan and at times out of state. Typically, if you acknowledge them and then go about your business or just ignore them altogether, they eventually continue on. They are looking for the engagement to create conflict and generate more views. Okay, what I saw there was hate speech. I saw them going into public buildings, harassing public officials. I don't know who this group is, but I believe that they call themselves Michigan Constitutional County. Dovetailing on Constitutional County, I will repeat once again, when I came here to make your bogus announcement about being a constitutional county, I was followed down the elevator by a bunch of armed militia people for no, don't laugh at me, you asshole. Get that fucking Nazi out of here. The sheriff should have done something sooner. Now I'm gonna finish without being interrupted by this nut.
You're talking about being followed somewhere.
Correct. Thank
Go
you
ahead.
for refocusing me.
Go
Okay,
ahead.
there was a young lady from the media who would like to talk to several people that happen to have a differing opinion. And you gotta wonder, they were all in this room because they were invited an hour early, where the rest of us citizens were pushed downstairs because we weren't invited to the pre-county meeting with your, what I call militia members. Anyway, during the meeting, I expressed an opposing opinion, and several, I'd say at least 10, followed me down the elevator after the lady and I went down there to talk without all the ruckus. And we were harassed and intimidated and yelled at by a bunch of people. I brought it to your attention and you did absolutely nothing. Just like the radio silence I got from this incident on May 1st of 23. I put forth that you have no concern for the regard of the safety of others. And furthermore, you are praising people, citizens who are doing horrible things like banning books in the library. Horrible things. And get that Nazi out of here that's threatening people. Why weren't the sheriff arresting him? He's obviously off his rocker, like many of the people that support you.
Next,
Next, we have Tanya, is it Dufiner? Dufiner? Thank you, I'm sorry.
I'm one of those sage people.
and your residence?
My name is Tanya, and I've lived in Livingston County for the last 56 years, all of my life, in Fowlerville. 2 years ago, we buried my 45-year-old sister. She was an educator and a champion for the marginalized. Tonight, I am here for her and those that feel voiceless. As a member of SAGE, I feel it's important to set the record straight. The statement that City Manager Irv Suda made on behalf of the city to strongly denounce SAGE was based on numerous inaccuracies. Let public record reflect that SAGE did speak with law enforcement prior to the theater event, during which it stated that they have known about the local Nazi Eric Cooper's involvement since last July's demonstration. I also know him. He graduated with my daughter. And I also know another one of the Nazis who graduated with my son. So to say that they don't exist is absolutely false. Demonstration, when they pulled him over afterwards and ID'd him, they visually identified him from a photo that time. Despite this, Cooper was able to walk into the theater maskless as he tried to breach the event with no police response. And in addition, stood outside arguing with people for another, 20 minutes. Because of SAGE's Citizen Watch flyers, which have Cooper's face included, community members were able to identify him at the door, allowing the safety team to take quick action in removing him from the venue. Luckily, we were prepared. It's concerning that officials have withheld his identity for the last 7 months from our community. Our most vulnerable population deserves to have such information shared in order to make informed decisions for the safety of their families. What if those patrons near the front doors hadn't recognized Cooper to sound the alarm? What if he had gotten all the way in? Additionally, downtown business owners called the police in real time, stating their patrons were being harassed by neo-Nazis, but law enforcement still did nothing. This is important to note, considering at least 3 different local POC residents were caught on film being harassed by these terrorists as police watched on. The fact is, local officials and law enforcement continuously allow minority residents to be ethnically intimidated and racially harassed by terrorists. After the Nazis left the Anne Frank protest, which Sheriff Murphy described as peaceful, they went to Fowlerville where they yelled at a Hispanic resident, of who I also know very well, to go back to his country because this is Pureville and that they are there to make sure it stays pure, while waving flags with swastikas. This is the ethnic intimidation, and it is illegal in the state of Michigan. They were allowed to do it again to a Latina woman who also posted that and received over 50,000 views almost instantly on Latino Michigan TV. We're asking you to please do something and take action. Thank you.
Next, we have Elaine C. from Howell.
Hi. Wait, can you hear me? Is it good?
Push it
Okay.
down a little bit.
Yeah,
Hold the mic down.
Do it on the, yeah,
I'm
that's
afraid
it.
it's gonna go.
You got it.
I've been a Livingston County resident for, it'll be 20 years in a couple months. I'm also the mother of a severely disabled adult child. So coming out here wasn't easy for me, nor is speaking in public, but as a member of SAGE, I felt it important to make the effort. Howell City Manager Irv Suda single-handedly put out a statement on behalf of the city that basically implies that SAGE is a hate group. The header of the PR was titled, "City of Howell Denounces Hate Groups," emphasizing that, including us along with the neo-Nazis. Then goes on to talk about only 2 groups, White Lives Matter and SAGE, with only SAGE being strongly denounced. In comparison, when the neo-Nazis protested the Anne Frank play, it made worldwide news. But there was no statement from local officials condemning that situation. In fact, we have never seen any statement from this commission condoning the ongoing and escalating eruptions of hate in our community. In comparison, 1 week after the Anne Frank play protest, this is how the officials of Columbus, Ohio responded to Nazis in their town. The statement read that they reject the cowardly display and that we will not allow any of our neighbors to be intimidated, threatened, or harmed because of who they are, how they worship, and whom they love. Now let's look at how we talk about them here in our community. The press statement referred to the neo-Nazis as, quote, a small group of morally misguided individuals that are very careful and pride themselves on operating within the law and their constitutional rights. Do you see the difference? This community response is a racist apology at best, racist support at worst, and it's so obvious for anyone following along. Local leaders have got to do better. We are putting local leaders on notice to hold you all accountable, to acknowledge the fact that we do have a white supremacy problem in our community, and to start taking meaningful action to start working towards improving it. Make no mistake that this community does not have a reputation problem. We very clearly have a racism problem. Not only is there a new Hollywood documentary that expresses the active white supremacy movement in Livingston County, but the subject of the film, who was indoctrinated by Robert Miles and his followers, recently stated at the Q&A after the showing that white supremacy is indeed alive and well today. You can watch Face of Hate on Prime Video for more information. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, ma'am.
Next, we have Barbara Tonkovich from Genoa Township.
Thank you. Glad to see you all. We do know that we have a problem in Livingston County, in the state, in America, and in the world. It's called sin. In Ephesians 6:11 through 14, stand up against all the schemes and the strategies and the deceits of evil, which is what we've seen tonight. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, contending against opponents. Resist and stand your ground. In these evil days, stand firm. Hold your ground with personal integrity and moral courage and righteousness, which only comes from God. And I want to pray. Father God, I pray that you will draw each one of the commissioners to a closer relationship with you through your Son, who sacrificed himself for them, so that your Spirit will dwell and guide within them the courage and authority you give them. Amen. In Jesus' name. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Next, we have Dan Holohan from Handy Township.
Dan Wallahan, 46 years, Livingston County, lived in several places within this county. Two issues I want to address here. First, on the Sage, get them out of our county. White Lives Matter, get them out of our county. Neither group belongs here. We have, in the case, they play off each other. That's what they do. They rile each other up. I won't be surprised if they're connected to try and get clicks, to raise money for each other. And the real people of this county have no use for that. They cause trouble. That's what they do. We have one case back when they had the Howell Drag Queen bingo controversy, where one person who spoke and then wrote KKK on her own house and was busted for filing a false police report in Green Oak. Is a GoFundMe scam. We also have one person that's tied to Sage who supposedly had a swastika on a tree. And it doesn't live in Livingston County. That sure looked like a Juicy Smollett type of incident to deliver more hype. I have no use for either extremist hate group. Now, the other issue, we have talk about local zoning on taken from the state. I think things need to go further. I agree with appealing the state. When you have these massive utility cartels come into our local townships to run over our citizens, we need to enforce every single law possible. So if their weights are too big, the ones carrying these solar panels, if they're digging up the dust, if all you've seen the movie Porky's, you know, when the policeman there looks for every little violation to make sure that message is sent. We don't tolerate this stuff in this county, and that should be done to both Sage and White Lives Matter and this Cooper person and any other trash here causing trouble in our county. Thank you.
Next, we have Larry Parsons from Heartland.
Sir, have a seat. Tell us, well, I take that back. We're already set there. When you're seated and comfortable, you've got 3 minutes.
Thank you, sir. First off, I want to tell you that every single one of you do a wonderful job in our community. I am sick and tired of people that lie about this community, trash this community, start crap in this community. I'm tired of the filthy stinking lies. I can't take it anymore. These people call us all racists and bigots and homophobes because we don't want to put boys in girls' bathrooms or boys in girls' locker rooms or boys in girls' showers. And they call us extremists because maybe our daughters got raped and we don't want to see another girl get raped. I'm a veteran. I served in Germany. All this Nazi stuff, well, here's an awakening for the community. When I served in Germany, I was part of an undercover team that was sent into bars and restaurants where they thought there would be neo-Nazi activity. And my job was to make friends with them and expose them to both the United States government and the German government. I know all about them. I know what they do, I know what they stand for, and I know what they smell like. And they're not here. So all this crap about Nazis being here, Robert Miles was a Democrat. He was not a Republican. The KKK was the militant arm of the Democrat Party. And Sage is a hate group. Right here is a hit list that was put out by J.D. Arledge, and it's right on their site. And you can see Mama McBeer's screen name right there, which would be one Julie Ohashi. Julie Ohashi is the lady that had the Nazi swastika painted on her tree. She lied to the police. She lied to the community. She lied to the media, said she was from Heartland. She's not. She's from Highland. She said she lived in Livingston County. She's not. She lived in Oakland County. She said it was done on police footage, on body cam footage. She said it was done because she's married to a black man. He's not black. He's Hawaiian, right? These lies from these filthy, stinking maggots that want to tear down our community should no longer be tolerated. And I don't care what side of the aisle they're on. They're a threat to our society. These are the people that push extremism on our community. I congratulate every one of you gentlemen on a job well done. I moved here from Oakland County in 2003, and y'all make me proud, every single one of you. It's the best place I've ever lived in my life.
We have Ann, is it Gabaver or Gabauer? Gabauer. Thank you.
Gentlemen, I'm here to talk about Resolution 2502-022. This is in regards to the resolution to support local control and claim of appeal against the Michigan Public Service Commission order. I appreciate that you have drafted this resolution. I am from Iosco Township in Livingston County, and we in particular are dealing with a solar system that is approximately 1,800 acres. And we appreciate the fact that you have drafted this resolution. We are trying to regulate that, but the state has taken away our rights of local control. And so the fact that you are joining the coalition of Michigan municipalities that have filed the appeal from the order, we appreciate that. Iosco Township is one of those municipalities, as well as the other townships in Livingston County. They are Marion, Conway, Kahatka, Tyrone, and Handy. Most of us are dealing with solar, large-scale utility solar projects right now, so we are very grateful for your support. We hope that you will pass this unanimously. Thank you much.
Next, we have Norris Hardimon of Putnam Township.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening. When you're seated and comfortable, you may begin.
Yep. Want to say thank you to the commissioners for their great work. I've been living in Livingston County for about 4+ years now. Don't have any regrets of being here. I enjoy it. I moved here specifically because excuse me, I'm a little nervous. Livingston County is a conservative county. I love the values here, and I love what it stands for. As you can tell, I'm an American and this happens to be Black. I don't know. And I've been around this county, the various areas of this county for all the time I've been here. You know, I've never encountered any issues with anybody here. I find that people here are salt of the earth, kind, generous, and a lot of them will just give you the shirt off their back if you need help. So all these things I'm hearing, you know, regardless of what happened in the past, and I know Livingston County has a past, as most of America's had a past. You know, nowhere is clean. There are idiots everywhere. To say that this is what supposed issues we have are exclusively a Livingston County problem would be untrue. So my thought is to say that I don't have any issues here. I love it here. I want you gentlemen to keep up the good work, stand strong, and I'm with you. Thank you.
Next, we have Sharon Lolio from Howell Township.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'll be honest, I didn't have a written statement. I've lived in Howell for almost 12 years. I'll be honest, when I moved out here, I wasn't aware of a Klan reputation. I found that out, I guess, talking to other people. But 10 to 12 people consistently come here. And I don't know how many times we as residents have to say we do not stand for what those few people are representing. I mean, I see officials that have apologized and pushed back every time they've come to our town. I've seen the media cover this probably 2 to 3 weeks to keep it going after it's been over. And I just have to say that I, for one, I feel that our law enforcement have been there every time, prepared. We may not like what the First Amendment allows, but it is the First Amendment. And so I have seen, and I've heard, and I've talked to law enforcement that have been ready. And if that line gets crossed, they are ready immediately to take into account or to address whatever the problem is. But I guess I just have to say, as a resident here and talking to other people here, this is not on the top of our communication that Howell is racist or we are supporting white supremacists. So I say it here today just to hear, actually I came here to hear a lot of what you guys were talking about other than this, but I definitely felt compelled to come forward and say, as a resident here, I am not a white supremacist. I do not support this. And I'm a little bit tired of us feeling that for some reason we haven't stood up against this enough. So just here to say, love Howell, feel safe, feel good. Norris is my friend. Apparently he feels okay with it. So I just wanted to say, I felt compelled to come forward today to say, I do not appreciate us or you being accused that we are supporting white supremacists. Thank you.
We have Colleen Quinn of Genoa Township.
Good evening. I also was not planning to speak, but when I hear all this garbage, I've got to say something. So I support what Dan Woollahan and Larry Parsons and Norris and Sharon Lolio just said. I don't know that I can say it much better, but I feel like we're being gaslit and they're trying to orchestrate a problem where there isn't one. And I feel safe. I love this county, been here for almost 29 years. I appreciate all that you guys are doing, and I want you to just stand strong, and I know you will. So thank you.
Wes Nakagiri of Heartland Township.
Thank you very much. I just want to make a couple of comments. I attempted to attend the movie preview across the street and was told that I couldn't get in. I needed to have signed up ahead of time. I didn't realize that. They said it was full, and so I left. I had a true interest in seeing the movie and being part of the discussion. I understood there to be a discussion afterwards, but I was prevented. What was really disappointing to me is I find out later that the leader of SAGE, a leader of SAGE, had told people, hey, you know, if you're not doing anything tonight, come on down. We have plenty of empty seats. So that's a disappointment. It's a missed opportunity for both sides to engage. I'd also like to say, with regards to the movie Face of Hate, that was the movie that was being shown at the Howe Theater that night. I'll describe that movie as a history, a celebration, if you will, of redemption. Here you had this avowed racist, avowed Nazi. He finally saw the light. He changed. And that is a glorious thing, and we should all be happy with that. Now, compare that to Livingston County. So years ago, we had the likes of Bob Miles, who was the head of the Michigan KKK in our midst. And so you could rightfully conclude that Livingston County had a race problem. That was years ago. Nowadays, if you look at the statistics, the true statistics, the per capita statistics of anti-Black hate crime, we are the lowest. We are the lowest. The media had to make up their own statistics to try to make us look bad. So, I mean, it's the media that's fomenting the hate in addition to these other groups. So I would just ask people to, if we're going to say that, it's the gentleman on the Face of Hate was a story of redemption, why not look at Livingston County as a story of redemption? Why keep picking at it when in fact the data says we are better than any of the communities around us? I just ask for you that consider Livingston County a hotbed of hate to think about that and maybe reconsider your position. Thank you.
Chairman, I have no other comments.
Thank you. Krista, can you hear me? Is there anybody that has their hand up on Zoom?
Yes, Commissioner, I have Deb Drick.
Would you unmute her?
Yep, she's good to go.
Thank you.
Here I am. Hello, Deb Drick, City of Howell. I have lived in Livingston County. I moved here when I was 14 and I've lived here more than 50 years. So you do the math. I can tell you haven't been here that long. I remember when there really was a racism issue here. It did exist. We're not that way anymore. That has long since gone. Robert Miles died and that stuff started dying with it. Now, that's not to say that we don't have a per square mile idiot out there that has different views, but I would suspect that every single county in Michigan and across America has a per square mile idiot. They're certainly not subject to just our county. I also can say that most of the complaints I heard today are really with the city of Howell. And when I saw people on Zoom leaving, and I'm assuming they're going to go over there and beat up on Irv, which is probably where their complaints. But it's also disingenuous to me to hear the complaints that the county should do something, when in fact we had a county commissioner try to go there and he was forbidden from watching it, as Commissioner Nakagiri just said. But I can say this, I keep hearing for some reason they do this, for some reason this keeps bringing up. And I say it's because when you want change, when a group wants change, they have to have a reason for change. You're not going to get change if there's nothing wrong, right? So you got to create a reason. And I think Ellen Quinn said that accurately. These groups, they want to change the Livingston County elected body from Republican to Democrat. So they try that in every election and it fails. And the reasons they come up with, I think last year's favorite of mine was, well, we need women on the commission. Well, that's a good reason. So what else could they use other than racism, really? Well, let's take our AAA bond rating and turn it to what, B-? Well, that's something we could change, right? Or maybe become the unhealthiest or the unsafest county. Well, there's something to change. How about the lowest to the highest unemployment? When a county is running as well as ours, you have to throw something at the pristine wall we have and hope it sticks. And I think that's what all this racism is. It's let's just keep stirring this up so we can have a complaint. It's untrue. I was here when it was a problem, and this is not that. It isn't that day anymore. Thank you.
I have Janine.
Krista, I didn't hear.
I'm sorry, Janine.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Janine, you may proceed. You've got 3 minutes.
Good evening, commissioners, and thank you for your service. Really appreciate the job you're doing, an outstanding job. I'm on Zoom here to basically support resolution 2025-02022, the resolution to support local control and claim of appeal against the MSP Commission. I just appreciate you doing that, having this resolution and bringing it up at a county level. And I just have an additional comment based on what I've been listening to. I've lived in Livingston County for only 7.5 years. And I just want to testify that in those years, I and my husband, who has brown skin, who is a legal immigrant to the United States from India, he and I have never had any problems with racism. In fact, he gets along with everyone that he comes along, that he runs into in Livingston. It's been a very good experience. And so, we haven't experienced that. So, and I just wanted to also echo what Deb said just now. I heard some community members mention that someone from the city of Howell, stated things that they took exception to. And so I think rather than yelling about it at you, it's better to take it to the source, at the person that basically offended them. So that's all. And thanks again for your service and have a good evening.
Thank you. Krista?
I do not see, excuse me, I do not see any more hands, Commissioner.
And I see no more hands up on Zoom either. So it's now 7 p.m. The call to the public, number 1 on the agenda, is concluded. Thank you. We're on to item number 9 of the agenda, approval of minutes. 9A reads meeting minutes dated January 27, 2025. 9B reads meeting minutes dated February 10, 2025. Excuse me, I should have said 25 on both of those. Can I get a motion for A and B?
Motion to approve meeting minutes A and B. Sample.
Support Gross.
Motion by Sample, support by Gross. All those in favor, voice vote, kindly say aye.
Aye.
The vote is 8-0 with 1 absent. It passes. We're at number 10, tabled items from previous meetings. I have none that came to my attention. Does any commissioner wish to bring anything up? Commissioner Gross.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to let our colleagues know that several weeks ago, I attended the Community Connect event that was held at the 242 Church. I believe that was Saturday, I think, February 4th. And they had an outstanding attendance of public there looking for information on a variety of services. Our county was well represented. The Sheriff's Department was there, Let's was there, the Health Department was there, EMS at 911. A lot of other folks were there that we know and work with. And it was a great event. It was very well attended, and I hope they're able to do that type of thing again. Thank you.
Welcome. Commissioner Nakagiri.
Yeah, I wanted to share with my colleagues I got a report from an organization called the Michigan Fair Elections Institute. They were an organization that requested via FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, the qualified voter file for the state of Michigan immediately after the election. So, the qualified voter file changes, it's a dynamic document. So he wanted to have the document as it was, immediately after the elections. They were told by the state of Michigan that it's not available. They couldn't give it to them, which I found is kind of odd. So, but they took it upon themselves to FOIA the information, the qualified voter information for the 83 counties in Michigan. And I'm proud to say, and I would pass this along to our clerk, Livingston County was in the top 18. There were 18 counties that got the top rating, both from cooperation and speediness of delivering the document. And we delivered it no charge. I actually talked to our clerk and said, how did that happen? Well, it was because it took less than 15 minutes. Less than 15 minutes is no charge. There were other counties that said, well, you can't FOIA the information. It's against the law. There were some counties that, one county, Eaton County, charged over $800 to get the document. And so here's a story of if you're a citizen, to stand up for your rights. The person that actually FOIA'd it filed a civil complaint against Eaton County, and they actually won. They got their nearly, $800 back plus $3,750 to cover court costs, legal costs. So they got the data they wanted. They had to argue in court about it, but they prevailed. I just wanted to share that. And also, like I said, I want to thank the clerk's office for being one of the top 18 counties. Thank you.
Any further tabled items or reports? Seeing none, we'll close 10 and 11, and we'll go into item number 12 on the agenda. It's entitled Resolutions for Consideration. 12A reads 2025-02-013. It's a resolution approving an appointment to the Livingston County Retirement Plan Advisory Committee brought to us by the Board of Commissioners. Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve the resolution.
Support Deaton.
Motion by Fiani, support by Deaton. Does anyone wish a presentation of any kind or questions and answers? This will be a voice vote. All those in favor kindly say aye.
Aye.
I hear 8, excuse me, any opposed? I hear 8-0 with 1 absent. 12,
Mr.
8
Chair,
passes.
Christy Cox is one of them, and she's with us tonight. So,
She was lobbying.
yep.
You're correct. With that, we move on to 12B. It's number 2025-02-014. The resolution authorizing entering into a contract for investment advisory services to the Retirement Plan Advisory Committee, brought to us by Fiscal Services Human Resources. Does anyone need a presentation by Cindy?
I move to approve the resolution.
Thank you.
Second, Sample.
Motion by Fiani, second by Sample. Now we'll get into discussion. Anyone need questions and answers? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Yes.
Commissioner Domas is absent. Commissioner Sample,
Yes.
Commissioner Nakagiri,
Yes.
Chairman Drick,
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton,
Yes.
Commissioner Panovich,
Yes.
Commissioner Fiani,
Yes.
Commissioner Gross,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. We're on to 12C. It's entitled 2025-02-015. It's a resolution to accept a grant from the Michigan Mosquito Control Association to support Livingston County Health Department's vector surveillance program, brought to us by the Health Department. Can I get a motion?
We'll move Gross.
Support, Helserman.
Moved by Commissioner Gross, supported by Commissioner Helserman. Does anyone need a presentation from our Health Department, our Director Bolang? Is Matt on Zoom?
You're good.
It shows that he is Commissioner.
The Deputy Director, Heather Blair.
There he is.
Yep, I'm here if you have questions, or I can give a quick presentation for those that weren't at the subcommittee meeting.
This doesn't involve physically spraying. This involves a dashboard, which is statistics. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're just using this funding to provide for some personnel costs to create an ArcGIS kind of a dashboard to help direct where we place mosquito traps into the future based upon past results. So this has nothing to do with spraying. The county does not have a spraying program. This is just about collecting data and putting it in one place.
Thank you. With that, has that spawned any questions or comments from any other commissioner? Seeing none, I'll close the discussion and we'll go into a roll call vote.
Yes.
Commissioner Domas is absent. Commissioner Sample,
Yes.
Commissioner Nakagiri,
Yes.
Commissioner Drick,
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton,
Yes.
Commissioner Panovich,
Yes.
Commissioner Fiani,
Yes.
Commissioner Gross,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. We're on to 12D. The number is 2025-02-016. It's a resolution to reorganize the animal shelter veterinarian position. Can I get a motion?
So move, Helserman. Support, Deaton.
Motion by Commissioner Helserman, support by Commissioner Deaton.
Christie's a lead.
Good evening, Christy. Would you like to say a few words?
Hey, gentlemen. Yeah, just briefly, as you know, we've been 2 years of the job being posted. We've been unsuccessful filling it. So our vet that we've had, Dr. Fosdick, she's been on with us as a temp for over a year. So I was made aware by Human Resources that we can't do that. A year's kind of max on a temp employee. So it was either let her go for a little bit, which would be unfortunate for the shelter. And so kind of the merging that position, being like a pooled position, we're able to keep her on. And then should we hire a vet, they will kind of come into that position. And then we also do have another veterinarian who's going to be coming on for 1 day a week. and bringing clinics back, which is going to be a huge resource for the community. We've already booked clinics for her every Tuesday for every month, and the first 2 clinics booked out within 2 days. So we're going to be doing clinics every Tuesday with her, 30 animals per clinic, which is going to be great for revenue, but also for the community. So that is, again, not changing anything with our budget, no extra in the budget, and getting 2 vets for us, kind of filling that void for 1 veterinarian that we should have on board. But again, should we be able to fill that position, it will stay posted. Should we hire the veterinarian for that permanent position, we would be letting that temp vet go that's kind of in that pooled position now, but still be allowed to keep that 1-day veterinarian on. That's kind of just merging the position so we don't have that temp issue that we've been having.
Thank you. Does that raise any questions or analysis? Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll close discussion. Again, another roll call vote.
Commissioner Possible,
Yes.
Commissioner Domas is absent, Commissioner Sample,
Yes.
Commissioner Nakagiri,
Yes.
Chairman Drip,
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton,
Yes.
Commissioner Panovich,
Yes.
Commissioner Fiani,
Yes.
Commissioner Gross,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. We're at 12E as in Edward. It's number 2025-02-017. It's a resolution authorizing capital expenditure for the purchase of 2 replacement vans and 1 replacement bus brought to us by Let's. Can I get a motion?
So move Deaton.
Support Gross.
Motion by Deaton, support by Commissioner Gross. Greg, come on up. Does anybody have questions or concerns? Greg's here. You have to be up for the next couple anyway.
Sure, yes, I can give an overview of, or not. Whatever your pleasure.
Nobody
Covered in
looks
the-
like they need it.
Covered in sub.
We'll go straight to let me get to the right place here. A roll call vote, please. On 12E, we're at 12E. Excuse me.
Sorry.
Proceed.
Yes.
Commissioner Domas is absent, Commissioner Sample,
Yes.
Commissioner Nakagiri,
Yes.
Chairman Drip,
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton,
Yes.
Commissioner Panovich,
Yes.
Commissioner Fiani,
Yes.
Commissioner Gross,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. We're at 12F. It's number 2025-02-018. It's a resolution authorizing a replacement vehicle lease for the Sheriff Field Services Division carpool, brought to us again by Director Kellogg. Can I get a motion?
So move Sample.
Support Deaton.
Motion by Sample, support by Commissioner Deaton. Anyone have further analysis, questions about the written paperwork supplied? Seeing none, I'll close that discussion and go to roll call vote kindly.
Commissioner Helserman,
Yes.
Commissioner Domas is absent, Commissioner Sample,
Yes.
Commissioner Nakagiri,
Yes.
Chairman Drip,
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton,
Yes.
Commissioner Panovich,
Yes.
Commissioner Fiani,
Yes.
Commissioner Gross,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. We're at 12G. It's number 2025-02-019. It's a resolution authorizing an increase in total authorized vehicles for the Sheriff Field Division carpool. Can I get a motion?
So move Deaton.
Second Sample.
Thank you. Commissioner Deaton made the motion. Commissioner Samples seconded the motion. Any need for further analysis, questions, or observations? Commissioner Nakagiri, you have the floor.
I'm going to offer an amendment, actually 2 amendments to this resolution. The first one is to add another, be it further resolved, that states, be it further resolved that this vehicle is authorized and recognized as a pooled vehicle, and once its useful service life has ended, will be disposed of and removed from the sheriff's fleet count. I left a document that says sheriff's fleet, but I would like to add the word count. So to restate that, It's, be it further resolved that this vehicle is authorized and recognized as a pool vehicle, and once its useful life, service life has ended, will be disposed of and removed from the sheriff's fleet count. And I have another amendment, but we'll wait to see how this one goes.
I have a motion to amend. Is there a second?
Support, Helserman.
Motion by Nakagiri, support by Helserman to amend, adding one sentence and removing a sentence, both in the further resolved. Voting on the amendment now. Excuse me, any discussion?
Yes, I just want to elaborate on that a little bit, and that is, when this vehicle, when its service life is ended, it would, the fleet count will go back to where it is today. It doesn't prevent the sheriff's office from doing the same thing in the future with another, I'll say, used vehicle at that time if the need is still there. So that's all I had.
Thank you. Any further discussion or analysis? Seeing none, we will do a voice vote on the amendment offered by Commissioner Nakagiri and seconded by Commissioner Helserman. I believe you all have it in writing in front of you. All those in favor kindly say, a voice vote, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm hearing 8-0 to 1 absent, and the amendment passes. Now we'll proceed to the amended resolution 12G.
Actually, Mr. Chair, if I may.
Oh, you'd like to, you can have the floor again. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, the amendments I showed on the written sheet that I have, I didn't forward the second one. So the second portion of the amendment, I mean, we just voted on the first portion, so I'm asking that we vote on the second portion. That's to remove the last, be it further resolved, and that says that the Livingston County Board of Commissioners authorizes any budget amendment necessary to effectuate the above. So essentially what that does, well, we'll see if there's a second here.
Second, Sample.
Second amended motion by Nakagiri, second amended, seconding by Commissioner Sample. Move into discussion of the second amendment.
Essentially what this does is the sheriff's department, and this is early in the year, it's not even the end of the second month. So it's the cost of getting this used vehicle, the fuel, the maintenance, et cetera, would be borne by the sheriff's current budget. Meaning they'll have to move around things, they'll have to prioritize, their spending. If they, I know my colleagues quite well, I think they would approve a budget amendment if we found later in the year that we needed to, they absolutely needed more money. This is a small amount of money. But anyway, that's the rationale. So.
Got it. We're going to vote now orally on the second amendment, which is the removal wording. All those in favor, kindly say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm hearing 8-0, 1 absent. The second amendment has passed. Proceed.
I would just like to ask, this seems to be boilerplate language, and I would assume that the director doesn't think there'll be a budget amendment needed for this.
Yeah, no, I think that's perfectly reasonable. It's quite possible that, as Commissioner Nakagiri said, it'll wash out by the year end. It's early. And in proportion to the sheriff's overall auto leasing budget, it is a fairly small amount. So I have no concerns.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Certainly. Now, on the double amended resolution 12G, roll call vote.
Commissioner Helserman?
Yes.
Commissioner Jonas is absent. Commissioner Sample?
Yes.
Commissioner Nakagiri?
Yes.
Chairman Drick?
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton?
Yes.
Commissioner Panovich?
Yes.
Commissioner Fiani?
Yes.
Commissioner Gross?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We're on to 12H. It's a resolution, it's number 2025-02-020. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
And it's a resolution to authorize the Livingston County Airport to apply for grant funds from the Michigan Department of Transportation and Federal Aviation Administration for the construction of the gigantic snow removal equipment building at our airport. Can I get a motion?
So move Deaton.
Or Alderman.
Motion by Deaton, support by Helserman. This is an application for grant. Any need for questions, analysis, or cross-examination? Seeing none, it's a voice vote. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Nakagiri.
Yeah, I just wanted to state for the record, I am comfortable, seeking the grant, but I personally I want to see a more detailed budget from the airport, in terms of when if we're successful with the grant and if we put in this $2+ million building, what does the budget look like, because costs for utilities are gonna go up, costs for insurance are gonna go up. You look a little puzzled.
I provided that information.
I didn't see it.
Oh.
Well, anyway, I'm gonna vote in favor of the grant and, but I guess I must have missed that. But before we vote on accepting the grant, I'll review your information. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
You have the floor.
I see on our claims that there's a bristle for the snow broom, which will be housed in this building for $4,271.40. What effect would this building have upon how often we have to replace a snow brush? Will there be any effect? But it's more for the machine itself as opposed to the brush per se.
The brushes, under ideal conditions, we get about 100 hours out of them of use. Right now, we've had a few warm days, but prior to these warm days, it was sitting in a hangar full of ice. And I'm sure that cuts down on the use or on the longevity of those brushes slightly. I don't think it's real material, but it's bearings and everything else that just do not deal well with ice.
Sure. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Certainly. Any other comment, question, discussion on 12H? Seeing none, I'll close discussion. We'll have a voice vote on the application for the grant. All those in favor kindly say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm hearing 801, application for grants approved. We're moving on to 12I. It is number 2025-02-021. It's a resolution authorizing an advance from the delinquent tax revolving funds to the Airport Capital Improvement Fund for the purpose of paying construction costs for the gigantic snow removal equipment building. Can I get a motion? Thank you. Motion by Helserman.
Support Gross.
Second by Commissioner Gross. We are now in the discussion phase. Commissioner Nakagiri.
I'd like to get clarification on what this resolution is actually doing. As I read it, we are approving this, I'll say loan, even though we don't know if we're going to get the grant. Is that?
All of those grant funds are entitlement dollars, meaning the FAA has said, these are your dollars. But we have to go through the application process. The president did throw a bit of a wild card out for the bill money. As far as they were going to review it, they were going to temporarily hold some up. It's my understanding, talking to our congressman, that his belief is that that's going to be mainly EV infrastructure money that gets held up, and roads, bridges, airports are going to be funded given their entitlement dollars.
Also in this, on the back of the resolution, it says, be it further resolved, the advance stated above is contingent upon the Board of Commissioners approval for the overall project and award and acceptance of the FAA grant funds. So, I mean, there is, with that being said, why do we have to do this now? Because it's contingent, we've got, when will we know whether our grant's gonna come in? Do we know? Is there an estimate?
On or before September 30. That's the latest date they can authorize the grant because of fiscal years. That's the end of the fiscal year and it has to be done by then. Grant applications are due on Friday. It may happen it's not going to happen in 6 weeks. It may happen in 2 months. It may happen in 4 months, but it will be by the end of September in any case.
Are we going to be using any of this $2,191,000 loan prior to us getting notification that we got the grant?
The way this is set up, yes. The first money used would be money the airport has in retained earnings of $500,000. That would be the first money expensed on construction. Then we would go to the advance and then repay the advance with grant funds.
If we get the grant funds.
They've been authorized by Congress. I believe we will get the grant funds.
Just my 2 cents. I'll be voting against this resolution.
Any further comment or analysis? I have a question. If we're going to go to the delinquent tax revolving funds and take out $2,191,000 and EMS in December and just very recently, the documents were signed to take $1,200,000 out of the same fund. What's our treasurer think about? Is any money left? Do we have risk? Is Jennifer on? Jennifer, handle that.
Well,
Are
I
we-
sent
are we-
an,
Are we taking more out than we have?
we are not, and I sent an email to all of the commissioners. So we currently have available funds of 6 million in the delinquent tax revolving fund. We expect the 1.8 million of the federal grant funds to be repaid. And also the EMS first payment is due in June. So while this is 2.3 million out, we expect 2.4 million back in within 12 months. I also want to be certain that we are discussing the revised amended resolution with the numbers following the bid results.
Well, tell me what numbers you're looking at then, and we'll look at our
So the total
paperwork.
the total project cost came in at 2.8 million. There would be an advance of 2.3 million. And then a repayment over the 20 years of the remainder of 467,000. So that was the revised resolution that was distributed to commissioners.
And that takes into account the 500,000 that's in the bank account for the airport, right?
So again, just to recap and summarize, overall project is 2.8 million. They will use 500,000 of cash on hand. That leaves an advanced amount of 2.3 million. 1.833 would be expected to be paid back by the federal grant funds, leaving 467,000 to be repaid over 20 years.
4.75% still,
Correct.
and it would be yearly payment or monthly payment?
Monthly,
And you have an amount for the monthly.
approximately $3,000 monthly.
What's your assessment of the risk level that, being three choices, there's little risk, there's medium risk, or there's a lot of risk that, the feds don't give us the grant?
I think little risk. I'm relying on Director Johnson and his knowledge of how these aviation grant dollars work.
Thank you. Has my questions and the answers generated any thoughts or desire to question our treasurer? Commissioner Nakagiri, you have the floor.
Thank you. What happens if we do not approve this tonight? We're still going to apply for the grant, correct?
Correct.
Yep, that's passed.
I remind my colleagues that it is the county taxpayers that will be funding the bill, even though this is an enterprise fund, if something goes wrong. And we've already run across that issue already in recent past. I just think if we don't have to approve this tonight, that I think we wait until, as long as we can, to see if we're going to actually get the grant funding. And then if we get the grant funding, it's a no-brainer. We can go ahead. But if we don't, I wonder what a bank would do if we were asking a bank for a loan. I don't think they would approve our loan. That's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Commissioner Gross?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, it's true that we don't have to approve this, that the grant application will be going forward. However, if we wait until September to start looking at spending money, we won't have the facility for next winter. And the intention is to have the building in place before winter. So have to keep that in consideration.
Thank you. Commissioner Deaton?
Yeah, echoing Commissioner Gross's comments as well, but just to reiterate, this isn't reliant on the grant, is it? So we don't have to approve this to get the grant funding, do we?
Correct. It does not have to be approved, but we have got, there's 20-day period that the contract, it has to be under contract with the contractor, or they have the right to pull their bid.
And then I'm very familiar with federal funding. June is a target date. Usually that's when everything is spent. So I'm going to be voting for this because I spent extensive time with Director Johnson discussing this. So I just want to let everybody know how it works.
Commissioner Sample?
Would you still do the project if you didn't get the grant?
I believe we would. It's an important part of serving the needs of our customers is having that equipment ready to go.
Didn't you tell us there was a standard that you had to keep the airport up to keep the med flight going out of the airport?
But it's not so much an airport standard as what they require for their standards. They're shut down at about 1/4 inch of contamination on that runway.
Okay.
The airport can, we certainly send out a notice, this is what we have. But if it's more than 1/4 of an inch, U of M is not going.
And this building would help make sure we could maintain that to a better level?
Correct.
Okay.
It will keep the equipment. When it comes after the storm, when it gets put away, it will actually melt and not be iced up the next time we pull it out of the barn.
So you'd most likely pull the trigger on the job without the grant if the grant failed? You're saying there's about by the looks of your face, you're thinking there's a 0 chance that the grant fails?
Nothing's zero.
I know,
but I
well,
think
you look pretty.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident
serious.
this money's gonna come through.
Yeah, and then it better, keeps Med Flight running in our area. Thanks.
They weren't able to go today, I believe, because it was too windy to open their hangar door.
We'll have to figure out how to solve that later.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how we solve that problem. That's their problem to solve, not
That's right.
ours.
Okay. Thanks.
Is there a change to the, one whereas clause that says the application for grant funds is due March 1st. Grant funds not available until late fall, anticipated spring 2006 start date. Are those still the right dates?
Spring 2025 start date is our hope and goal.
So that's
Yeah, which is why the advance
Real-
is correct.
super quick.
Yes.
And what's the?
Yeah, we're hoping, June 1.
And what would be the hoped for completion date, where we have the open house and the donuts and
Mid-October, open house will be spring. I don't want to.
spring of 26?
26, correct. Along with an airport open house, we've already, the Aeronautical Facilities Board discussed that at our meeting on last Thursday.
Thank you. Did my question spawn any further questions or thoughts that needed to be talked about? Commissioner Aguirre, go ahead.
How long has the airport been in operation? About,
Mid 1950s, the city of Howell moved it to that location and the county bought it in 1963.
okay, all right. In my humble opinion, just for my colleagues, if we were to delay, one more year, with not having the heated building, I think will be the same as it's been for the past 60 years. Has there been any consideration to, we put the equipment in a hangar, to having portable propane heaters out in the hangar?
We had a customer put a portable heater in a hangar. He couldn't get it over about 40 degrees and it was running him about $700 a month. To that level. I don't think it's it's not economically feasible, I don't think, to heat one of those T hangars adequately to keep this thing warm.
What temperature are you expecting to keep the new building at?
55-ish. Except maybe after a storm, we might kick it up so it melts quicker, but then back down to 55 once it's melted.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Certainly. And I'm understanding if there's no grant, you still want to try to build something somehow. Right?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Less money, smaller size, find
No.
savings somewhere.
By applying for the grant, we are saying this is what we're going to build. Because the bid documents are part of the grant application.
If we don't get the grant, will the contractor tell us to pay? Or is there
the construction agreement will be between Livingston County and it's not Summit. Oh yes, it is Summit.
Is there a notion that the construction agreement will have if no grant, no job? Or isn't that how they're usually created?
So the resolution does say contingent upon receiving the grant. I understand this to be that we are providing a funding source to fill in until a grant is received. But I think the points that you've made about if the grant is not received, we would still likely be on the hook for the full cost of construction through this funding mechanism you're about to approve. Separate but related issue, I want to make sure we have the right resolution in front of you. did see an email come in on the 21st that had the numbers that Treasurer Nash was referencing. I don't believe that's in your packet. I would identify the second whereas has a number of 2.8 million. And if it's not in your packet at 2.8 million, I suggest we take a brief recess. We'll run off copies of the correct resolution for your consideration as a substitute.
Who does not have the updated numbers on ink in front of them?
I don't
You don't?
think so.
We'll have a brief recess. It's 7:40. We'll try to be back by 7:50. Commissioner Gross,
Mr. Chair.
go ahead.
I arrived here about an hour before the meeting, and the packet containing the revised resolution was on everybody's desk.
We already have it.
There were several documents included in there.
I think that's the construction document.
Yeah, this resolution is not in that packet.
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah, it's the actual contract.
And I think the treasurer emailed it to you late last week.
This looks like this.
Yes, we're going to go to recess and work this out.
I don't see the 2.8 mil. I don't.
Ladies and gentlemen, recess is over. I'm calling us back into session. Thank you. We're still on 12 letter I, and we've received the hopefully last revision of the resolution, updated.
Excuse me, Commissioner Drake, we're having a hard time hearing you. Can you please make sure your mic is on?
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
How about now?
Oh, talk again. I'm sorry. I can't hear anything. Did you say something?
How about now?
Oh, better. Thank you.
Or now? We're cooking. So we have a one-page double-sided resolution that's been handed out, and a copy's been given to our clerk secretary. At this point, I think we should not conclude discussion if anyone still wants to talk about this resolution, because we've got updated numbers, et cetera. This is the one that concurs with the advance from the delinquent tax revolving fund.
Do we need to have a motion to amend the motion with this updated language?
Chair, this would be a substitute. So this could be a motion to substitute the resolution with this document, or it could be made a substitution without objection at the call of the chair.
Would anyone like to make a motion to substitute and then a second?
I move to substitute.
Thank you.
total
Motion,
Motion with the corrected motion.
motion by Helserman and second by Commissioner Gross. Further discussion, if any?
So do
It's an amendment.
we need a vote on that and
We
then-
have to,
and
yes,
then
we have
go
to, we have to
the
vote
full-
on the substitution, then we go back and we vote on the entire amendment, or excuse me, entire resolution. On the amendment, excuse me, on the motion to substitute, all those in favor, voice vote, kindly say aye.
Aye.
I'm hearing 8-0-1 passing on voice vote for the motion to substitute. Any further discussion on the substituted motion to proceed? Commissioner Nakagiri.
Yeah, during the break, I was asking if this resolution that we just substituted, that did not go through committee. Is that correct? So it bypassed committee. I understand why the first resolution bypass committee because it was time sensitive. And we, had to get that resolution passed to allow Mr. Johnson to seek the grant from the feds. This one is not time sensitive, and it goes straight to the Board of Commissioners. By rule, it needs to be a 2/3 vote to have placed it on the agenda. That wasn't clear to me at the time the agenda was approved. That we've bypassed normal process to do something of this magnitude that we don't have to do, that there, in my view, maybe my colleagues don't see it the same way. There are sizable questions. This is a sizable sum of money. We don't have to do this today. And yet we're fast tracking it. It doesn't, I'm just think it's bad policy at a minimum.
Any further comment? If I'm not mistaken, the Summit Company might be the place that would sign the contract for $2,743,000 to pay them. And as it stands now, if we don't get the grant, we're looking at a sizable chunk of money that they're going to demand that we get, then doesn't pay for anything but air. So I have a difficulty with proceeding without knowing that the grant's ours. And the other problem is that our friends in Washington are changing past practices daily. And most of them we agree with, I suppose, but if this is part of that changing of past practices, we would have a sizable risk. So I'm leaning toward a no vote. Any further comment or question? Commissioner Sample, go ahead.
Was part of attached in this resolution with the resolution that we just passed for the grant funding was part of the contract that has to be handed in with the grant funding. Is that right? Or no?
The bid has to be handed in, the contract does not.
Right, but you got to have a bid that's
But you
probably
have to
bound by
have
a
a bid.
contract to deliver it to the grant.
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
So we have the bid, but we don't have the contract? Is that a kill for the grant?
No, the contract is not required
The
for
bid
the
is.
grant. The bid is required for the grant.
And the bid was from Summit, that
Summit,
place? Okay,
correct.
so the bid's in.
But
Go ahead.
the problem I see with that is this project starts potentially before all this takes place, right? In order to get the contract under, to eventually secure the contractor for the amount of this bid. You don't have the amount of time to bind him to the contract, or you don't have the time to bind him to your bid documents.
Correct.
So he could walk
He could walk.
after you receive your grant.
And we would not be looking at a 2005 construction schedule. We'd be at 2026, which who knows what steel's going to do with the if the tariffs hit. So that number would no longer be good, would be my estimate. We've got a little bit of contingency in that 2.8, but I don't know that we have enough to wait a year.
Right. So also I'm trying to digest here is the fact that you have a grant that requires a bid.
Correct.
You have a bid that you're gonna turn in that the contractor could walk before the grant could be funded because of the 120-day window.
Mhm.
So it's more than waiting. You potentially lose your contractor and then lose your grant and then start over again.
And if we do not apply for the grant, $295,000 of that goes away on March 2nd. It has,
Yeah.
that grant has to be in by March 1 to include the 2022 bill money, bipartisan infrastructure law money.
When did this come to us the first time when we first saw the proposal to put out your request for pricing?
The when?
When did the first time we saw this resolution come out for a request for pricing?
Request for price.
When we initially approved a monetary sum for you to go out and request pricing.
July
Was it July of?
of 24.
Oh, yeah, that's what, so this has been around for a while.
Yeah, July would have been probably when we were looking at the design. Got grant funds for the design for the building.
I got a question.
Yes.
Once the grant is approved, contract for the contract signed, so see you later.
Excuse me, Commissioner, we cannot hear you. Can you please make sure your mic is on?
What happens if the grant is approved? The contractor said, we never signed that contract. See you later, buddy. What are you gonna do?
My guess is we don't get the grant funds in that case. I don't know the answer to that. This has been a long-term project that's all coming together quickly, and unfortunately, we're looking at a Friday deadline for that grant application.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead. Floor recognizes Commissioner Hauser.
This is one of those decisions where we don't have a crystal ball. So somebody is going to be right, somebody's going to be wrong, okay? No matter how we vote. But it seems to me that this vote will take a little vision from us, a little hope that things work out. And hope is not particularly a strategy, but I'm personally confident that this grant will come through and that this is going to work out. Yes, this is one of those things that come kind of at the last minute sort of thing, but I think really, in my mind, our only option is to move forward at this time. So I'm a yes on this, and because very hopeful of the future, so.
Commissioner Fiani, you have the floor.
I was reviewing the resolution we just approved regarding the grant. And please, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but does that resolution need to be revised as well to reflect the different figures?
No, because it will follow the portion of the building that's eligible for grant funds. The building is not 100% eligible, it's roughly 60%.
Okay, so, and just by way of example, like it says, whereas the amount of the agreement is not to exceed $2,743,000.
Correct, that's what.
It's okay to,
Mhm.
okay.
Any further thoughts, discussion? Seeing none, I'll close the discussion, and for agenda item 12I, it requires a roll call vote because we're advancing dollars. So, Madam Clerk, please proceed.
Commissioner Helserman?
Yes.
Commissioner Domas is absent. Commissioner Sample?
Yes.
Commissioner Nakagiri?
No.
Commissioner Drick?
No.
Commissioner Deaton?
Yes.
Commissioner Panovich?
Yes.
Commissioner Fiani?
Yes.
Commissioner Groves?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And everybody remember, it's the loose sheet of paper for your future review. Now I believe we're at is it 12J on the agenda where we're going to, it's a resolution to concur with Livingston County Aeronautical Facilities Board to enter into an agreement with Summit Company? You don't think so?
The resolution to support local control.
But I thought
Right.
the advance. Local control.
Chairman Drake.
Go
I
ahead.
show that we're on 12J.
And that's relative to the motion to amend the agenda at the beginning, right?
Yes.
And so if I'm reading that 12J correctly, it's a resolution to concur with the Livingston County Aeronautical Facilities Board to enter an agreement with the Summit Company for the construction of the snow removal equipment building.
That's correct.
So this is the construction contract of the three resolutions.
Yeah,
And it's 12J.
I think part of the confusion is J was on there and then we amended J and moved it to K. When we did the amendments.
Right. Yeah.
J moved to K when we inputted this new.
L as well.
Don't we have two that we added?
So if you look at, there's a separate sheet. Yes,
Yeah.
Commissioner Sample's holding it up. That's the amended agenda order.
Yeah, this takes on after I.
Mhm.
And then moved your resolution down, Nick. Okay.
So we should be doing J,
You're right, yes.
that we're
J
deciding
is
on the
right.
Summit Company for the construction contract for the building at the airport, right?
Yes.
Is everybody on the same page? Okay, how about, let's start with, anybody want to make a motion?
So moved sample.
Support Gross.
Does anyone need further analysis, presentation, questions, answers?
What are we voting on? The resolution to support local control?
No, this is to enter into an agreement with Summit Company for the construction of a snow removal equipment building at the airport. It's an agreement not to exceed 2,743,000, which has a 50,000 contingency rolled into it. And it would be that we're concurring with the Aeronautical Facilities Board, who's also believes that it's a good idea to contract with Summit for 2,743,000. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, I believe we're spending or potentially spending money. We have to do a roll call vote.
Commissioner Osmann,
Yes.
Commissioner Domas is absent. Commissioner Sample,
Yes.
Commissioner Nakagiri,
No.
Commissioner Drake,
No.
Commissioner Deaton,
Yes.
Commissioner Panovich,
Yes.
Commissioner Fiani,
Yes.
Commissioner Gross,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Since that was 12J, thank you, Director. Since that was 12J, we're going to the resolution to support local control and claim of appeal.
So move sample.
Support, Helserman.
Motion by Sample, support by Helserman. Any need for further discussion? Commissioner Fiani?
I just wanted to share that I'm proud to sponsor this resolution. I think it's imperative that we continue to support our local municipalities and our local citizens in the community who have adamantly and loudly opposed the overreach by the state of Michigan on zoning and ordinances. I'm hopeful that although our local media enjoys following and emphasizing false narratives and biased opinions, that they'll show some support at least to our local communities who are in a significant fight and battle to maintain their local control.
Thank you. Any other discussion or comment? Seeing none, I'll close discussion. We'll go to a oral voice of vote. All those in favor of the resolution relative to the Michigan Public Service Commission, kindly say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm hearing none, so it's 8-0 with one absent. That passes. We're now back to the inserted item known as 12M. It's a resolution number 2025-02-024. It's a resolution to amend the Livingston County Paid Sick Leave Workplace Policy and our Personnel Manual due to the passage of the revisions in the Michigan Earned Sick Time Act from our friends in Lansing. It's brought to us by Human Resources. It's one of those things that a day or two ago, we were supposed to somehow know this was going to happen when the law went into effect. So we have to catch up with what was voted that's in effect. Commission.
I show that's 12L and not 12M. I want to verify.
L is correct.
Thank
Oh,
you.
it's correct.
12L.
My letters are hereby changed. Director Palmas, do you want to have any say?
Quick
Go ahead.
overview. And thank you for the late addition. This is a sort of an unexpected change in the legislation to the Michigan Earned Sick Time Act. There was on the day it was supposed to go into effect, the governor signed new changes that were passed the evening before. So the policy that is attached, the changes are noted. That should be in the packet that you received just before the board meeting. Those have been approved as to form by quick work by our civil council, and that specifically relates to our non-union employees. So to be clear, the accrual that's set to go into effect last Friday and that employees will see in their next paycheck, that is the same. So it's 1 hour of sick time earned for every 30 hours worked. What we do recommend changing is lengthening the time that a new hire would wait for their sick time to be eligible to use their sick time. And that's to account for the fact that this legislation allows summer interns and even very temporary employees to earn sick time. So if we lengthen it to 120 days, the idea is those short-term employees, they wouldn't be impacted by that. The other change removes the waiting period that we had to implement based on the prior legislation, for sick time payouts for any retirees. We have a long-standing sick time payout for retirees and for employees who've been here over 10 years. Retirees get 50% paid out. Employees who've been here 10 years, they get 50% paid out, but capped at $400. That with the prior version of the law, we had to have a 6-month waiting period on that. This new version allows us to eliminate the waiting period. So payouts will stay the same as they've always been. The difference is those employees who didn't qualify for a sick time payout, so anybody who didn't retire from the county, if they come back within 2 months of having left, then they get their sick time bank reinstated. So we're recommending those and looking for your support on these changes.
Thank you.
I think we gotta move it. So move sample.
Second. Fiani.
My mistake. Motion by Sample, second by Commissioner Fiani. Think about what you just heard and pretend it was after that.
Yep.
Commissioner Nakagiri, proceed.
Thank you. That 2-month gap, if you were working and then you came back within 2 months,
Mhm.
I think you said the sick time.
Has to be reinstated.
Is that a statutory thing?
Yes, that's a statutory requirement.
Thank you.
And it was narrowed, Commissioner. It was a 6-month return. Now it's narrowed to a 2-month return. So you have to return within 2 months now to have it reinstated.
Okay, thank you.
Seeing no other hands,
So,
Commissioner Helserman?
Is this is changed by the new legislature that was signed in, or
Yes.
is this? Okay, so the wisdom of one legislature overruled by the wisdom of another, is that?
Yeah, I think the prior was the Michigan Supreme Court put into effect an opinion that led to the law being implemented, and then the legislature acted to bring about these changes.
Okay.
Seeing no other hands, the discussion is closed. We'll go to a voice vote. All those in favor kindly say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm hearing 8-0 to 1 absent. The HR policy is amended.
Thank you very much.
And now we are at 12, we're at 13, A and B. It's entitled Accounts Payable Reports. A is claims dated February 24, 25. 13B is, reads payables dated January 31 through February 13, 2025. Can I get a motion?
Don't move for approval. So moved, Helserman.
Thank you. Commissioner Gross and Commissioner Helserman moved it. Any comment or discussion? Seeing none.
I have one comment.
Commissioner
Chairman,
Deacon, proceed.
I had
Sorry.
some questions and Mr. Bonas is getting back with me on, but it's not gonna hold me back from approving it.
Okay, so noted. With that, voice vote, all those in favor kindly say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I detect 0 ayes, or excuse me, 8 ayes, 0 nays, 1 absent for 13A and B. We're at number 14, which is called the public number 2 tonight. Any cards?
Dan Holohan from Andy Township.
This is a 2-minute call to the public. When you're seated comfortable, be near a microphone and you can begin.
I am back and have some little few prepared chicken scratch here. With all the talk we have on race, color, the one color that wasn't mentioned enough, that's the driving color in this, is green. Money talks. And it's money, along with a few people wanting 15 minutes of fame. That's the cause of most of this controversy we have recently in this county. And I forgot to call out the media, who wants money from advertisements and clicks. I lived in Howell back when they had the infamous robe auction. Some of you may remember this. It made front page in the Argus 7 days straight. What started out as one robe became about 5 or 6 being auctioned, and that auctioneer, who should have been lowballed, made a lot of money. So that's one of the things. The media, the Sage folks, and the White Lives Matter trash want this to keep going because they make money off this. They get publicity off this. And they become happy off this. They cheer for this. real people in Livingston County don't. Now, here's real history of race in Livingston County of a majority of folks in this county. The Democrat who did the best in Livingston County for president in my lifetime, 46 years, was some guy named Barack Obama. He's the one that did the best in this county. He won the city of Howell. None of the other white Democrats, which was almost all of Sage, did anywhere close. But in this county, and in Livingston County, among the Republicans, we've had two of our last three chairs. These are both, I hate the term people of color, but that's what they were. And I'll finish up here. Sonny Reddy won Livingston County. John James won Livingston County. And Linda Lee Tarver won Livingston County. And they all won Howell and Cohocton. And we have someone on our commission board who's won several times here.
Thank you. Any cards for the room other than that?
We have no more cards for the room.
Thank you. Krista, who might you see that has her hand raised on Zoom?
I have Cindy McNevich.
Ms. McNevich, name, location, 2 minutes. It's your
Cindy
turn.
McNevich, Hamburg Township. I'm ashamed and concerned of what I've heard at the call of the public. Racism is not a Republican problem and is not a Democrat problem. It is not a left problem or a conservative problem. It is all of us in the community's problem. Racism is present in Livingston County. You only have to look at what is happening in our schools. 2 out of 5 school districts in our county are currently in lawsuits for unchecked racism. These kids are learning that it is okay from somewhere to use racial slurs and bully people of color. Let us all acknowledge that it is not acceptable and racism is wrong. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other hands on Zoom?
Yes, sir, I have Rob S. Excuse me, Rob S.
Yeah, good evening, Commissioners. Rob Stanford, Livingston County Planning Department. I appreciate the Board of Commissioners putting forth the resolution tonight for supporting local control. I just wanted to, I guess I felt compelled to speak on behalf of our Planning Department, our Planning Commission. I guess I see our roles as fighting in the trenches. We've been fighting for our locals in this regard for renewable energy, local control for a number of years. I would say probably a decade or close. You also have a planning commission when we have amendments to zoning ordinances by statute, master plans, that sort of thing that come before your planning commission at the county level. We have a due diligence to abide by state, local, federal laws, but we also, I believe, our commissioners are dedicated to seeing to it that our local controls are retained as much as possible and support those initiatives. And I guess I just close by saying local control, not just with renewable energy, but I'm not sure if you're aware, but our local controls for zoning and planning are under attack. I would put it mildly. At the state level, there's a lot of undermining of our local controls with regards to renewable energy, of course, but gravel and extractive industries is one that they're pulling away from us. Accessory dwelling units, short-term rentals. There's a lot of things that are going on at the state level. I hope you also support our planning commission and our locals in keeping local control on those issues as well as we go forward. I appreciate it. Thank you for your time, sir.
You're welcome. Krista, any further hands on Zoom?
No, sir, I do not see any more.
Thank you very kindly. The Zoom second call to the public Item number 14 is now closed. And we're on to item number 15 on the agenda, commissioner comments. Any hands? Commissioner Nakagiri?
Just a quick comment regarding the media's profiting over the angst here in Livingston County that in my view is artificially generated. The media does make profit off that. One of the stories they ran a few years ago where it was with regards to this swastika painted on the tree of Miss Ohashi. The media in their dateline on the article said Livingston County, when in fact that she lives in Oakland County. And I know that with 100% certainty because her and I live in the same subdivision. We happen to have part of it in Livingston County, part of it in Oakland County. So when I saw Livingston County and I saw who it was and I saw the address, you know, it's phony. It's, what is our president called? Fake news. And they're doing it to profit off and to further divide the citizenry. It's appalling, and I totally object to that. Thank you.
Any further commissioner comment under item number 16? Seeing none, I'll close that. Excuse me, 15. I'll go into agenda item number 16. It's called closed session to discuss a written legal opinion pursuant to MCLA 15.268 parent H closed parent. Can I get a motion?
Motion to go into closed session and discuss a legal written opinion.
Motion by Fiani, support by Helserman. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Hutchinson.
Yes.
Commissioner Domas is absent. Commissioner Sample.
Yes.
Commissioner Nakagiri.
Yes.
Chairman Drake.
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton.
Yes.
Commissioner Panovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Fiani.
Yes.
Commissioner Gross.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Commissioner, Commissioner, I'll let you know when everyone's in the waiting room.
Voted no. Open up the
Go
door.
back into open session. Okay.
The VHMI is still here.
Commissioner, everyone is back in.
Thank you. It's 9:31 on the clock in the commissioner's room. We are back in open session, having finished up our business in closed. We are at item number 17. Unless we want to discuss unless we want to proceed with what was in closed. What's the pleasure? Commissioner Nakagiri, you have the floor.
I would like to I will be making a motion. I move to authorize the payment of back wages pursuant to the requirements of MCL 45.421, paragraph 1, as calculated by county administration, consistent with the recommendation of legal counsel, and authorize the county administrator to sign the settlement and release of claims on behalf of the county once received.
Thank you. Is there a second, having heard the motion?
Second the motion, Helserman.
Commissioner Nakagiri has moved. Commissioner Helserman has seconded. We're in for discussion. Commissioner Fiani, the chair recognizes you.
I believe that COLA should be taken into account for the calculation, therefore will be voting no.
Anyone else who would like to discuss or comment? Commissioner Helserman?
I'm voting yes because I believe COLA is not, our policy is not to pay COLA for people that are paid above their regular salary.
Any further comment or analysis? I'll close discussion. Roll call. Voice vote hopefully that I can detect the correct numbers. All those that say aye, voice vote, kindly say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
I'm hearing 2 opposed. Do I have that count correct?
Yeah. One.
Could we have a roll call vote for
Yeah,
clarification?
if you want.
Commissioner Helserman,
Yes.
Commissioner Delmas is absent, Commissioner Sample,
No.
Commissioner Nakagiri,
Yes.
Chairman Drake,
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton,
Yes.
Commissioner Panovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Fiani,
No.
Commissioner Gross,
Yes.
motion carries.
I'm at item number 17. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move, Helserman.
Any second?
Support Deaton.
Motion by Helserman, support by Deaton to adjourn at the right time of 9:35 PM. All those voice vote kindly say aye if you'd like to adjourn.
Aye.
I've heard 8 to 0 to 1. If the adjournment passes, we are adjourned. Thank you kindly, gentlemen. A lot of good work.
Okay.